Hi everyone, welcome to another video, a new tutorial. For today's video, I'm gonna show you guys how I make these super cute flower or like sun pendants, whatever you want to call them. I have two here. This is a really big one. This is a rose quartz and copper wire, and this is a rainbow moonstone in the gold wire. These two designs, I was heavily inspired by a lot of artists that I have seen on Instagram, but I had never found a tutorial for it that I could follow to kind of learn how to make the petals or make anything. And I taught myself how to do it, and now I want to share it with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope it's easy enough for you guys to recreate. So to start off, this is everything you're going to need. I have a ruler here, my flat nose pliers, your cutters, and this mandrel. If you guys saw my last video, I had mentioned how I did not know what this was called, and someone was nice enough to let me know in the comments that it's called a mandrel. So you're gonna need the mandrel, and the wire today, I'm using a different wire. This is copper wire. You're gonna need 20 gauge square copper wire. I get this from Rio Grande, and it's dead soft, so it's super easy to work with. And then you're also going to need, I think this is 22 gauge half round wire. The sticker kind of came off, but I'm pretty sure it's 22 gauge half round copper wire. And of course you're gonna need a stone. The size does not matter, but it is gonna change the amount of wire you're gonna need. So right here I have a red jasper, and this one is on the bigger side. And just for reference, the size of it is an inch and a half. But like I said, size doesn't matter for the stone, and that is what you'll need. So you're gonna start off with 2 pieces of the 20 gauge square wire. Because my stone is on the bigger side, I have about 15 inches here, because you have to make sure that you also have enough room for the bail, and then you also have to have more for those pieces of wire to come around and make these swirlies here to set the stone in place. So even if you think it's a lot, you're probably going to want to cut more so that you have extra and you're not going to end up needing more towards the end. Then what I've done is I have taken the 22 half round and I've wrapped it around the 2 pieces of square wire. I already did it before filming this because these pieces are just too long and I was going to be hitting the camera, but that is pretty much what I've done here. I have the 2 pieces of square wire and I have wrapped them together with a 22 half round, so it should look like this, if you could see that. And then what you're gonna do with this is you're gonna measure until it goes around your stone, like this, it should be perfect, like that. After you have that cut out and measured out, your 4 wires are gonna meet up at the top here, and we're gonna start working on the bail. So you take the 22 gauge wire and you're gonna start wrapping all 4 of them right here. But you're not gonna do a lot. So you just take the end and wrap around all 4. Once you get to the very end right here, you can just put it in between like this. You're gonna put it in between the whole thing and cut off the excess. And squeeze it down. So the tail end is inside here, and you have a few wraps right here. Okay, and then you're going to separate the 4 wires. You're gonna pull the 2 that are closest to you. So you're gonna pull out 1 and 2. The ones that are closest to you are the ones that you're gonna use to continue making the bail. And the other 2, you're gonna leave alone for now. So you have these 2, and you're gonna continue to wrap around those 2 only. It's gonna be a little tricky for me because the wires are so long and I'm hitting stuff. I'm hitting the stones back here. I might hit the camera. As long as you know that you are just wrapping around only the 2 frontmost wires. Once you're done wrapping, this is what you should have. I already went and cut it off, and then what you're gonna want to do is you grab your flat nose pliers, and I just flatten out that part of the bail just to give it that flat look. So this is what you are left with. I also forgot to mention that I do kind of work like out of the spool when I work with the 22 gauge, just because I never know exactly how much I'm gonna use, and I'd rather not be cutting off and then cutting off some more when I need to wrap more. So I do work directly off the spool, and this is what you should be left with. You have your bail, and then you have the 2 wires on the side here. So for right now, you're gonna put this to the side. You're not gonna do anything with this yet. And the next thing is going to be, we're gonna work on the petals next. So for this part, you're gonna cut 15 inches of the 20 gauge square wire. So the same amount that you cut to make this, you're gonna cut for this. And it's just gonna be 1 piece. So this is 15 inches. And I'm gonna start about, let me see, about 1 inch. So if you watched my last tutorial where I did the mini flowers, it's gonna be the same exact process to make these petals. We're just gonna make them a little bigger. And we're gonna start off like this. This piece of wire here is also super long, so I'm gonna be hitting things, but you're going to fold down like this, and squeeze these 2 together. You do not have to be harsh with this wire because, like I mentioned in the beginning, it is dead soft, so it is very easy to work with. Once you have that, you're gonna do it again. Try your best to make it the same height and everything. And I'm pretty sure you can hear the dog barking. You could probably hear the voices. That's my dad and my brother. They're watching a soccer game. So I do apologize if you guys can hear that. You got 2. And then you just keep going. I usually keep going even if it might be too much to go around the stone. I just keep going just in case it isn't enough in the end, until you finish the whole piece. So I'm gonna do all of this off camera, but just remember to also leave this 1 inch of wire on this side as well. So I'll show you what all that looks like when I come back. So here's what you should be left with after you do all of the little petals here. So then the next step is to pull these apart a little bit. Don't do too much, don't pull them apart too far, and don't do it too harshly either, because you don't want to end up ruining the shape. Just like this. And then that is when your mandrel comes in. Your mandrel and your pliers. You're gonna put each one of these petals in here like this, and you're going to squeeze the ends together here like this. And there's your first one. You're gonna do this to all of them. Put it inside the mandrel, squeeze the ends together, just like that. It took me a very long time to figure out how to make these petals here, and my first ones were so bad. I'm gonna try to find some pictures and I'm gonna add them into the video, but I really did not know what I was doing, and I tried so hard to find a tutorial on it and I could not find it at all. And then one time I saw someone on Instagram, and I wish I remembered what this person's Instagram was, but she was not making a flower. I think she was making like a lotus to put like on a pendant. And a lotus is like similarly shaped like this, and I saw her doing this method, and that's when it just like clicked in my brain. Clicked in my brain that that is how you make the petals. And I started practicing them. At first they were a little wonky, but after practicing for such a long time, I finally got the hang of it. But those first few ones were so bad. This is what it should look like. You're gonna do that to the entire thing, so I'm gonna come back when I finish all of it to tell you what to do next. So now that I've got that finished, it's all right here, and all I've done is just separated it a little more so it's longer. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna attach all of the sunflower rays or sun rays, whatever you want to call them. We're gonna attach them to this right here, and we're gonna do that with a piece of wire. This is 26 gauge. I just pulled out about a foot of it, and we're gonna put it together like this. We're gonna wrap around each little petal along with the edge of this piece here. Whoops. So you're gonna go around every single one like this. My rays always, or not rays, but petals here always end up kind of being different sizes and different shapes. I don't really try to make it exactly perfect. It's kind of difficult for me even now to get them all exactly the same. So if yours are like, if one is skinnier than the other, one is longer than the other, it's completely fine. It's still gonna look just as pretty at the end. But this is all you do for this part here. Do it all the way around till you get to the end. So I'm gonna be back and do the rest off camera. Here's what this looks like now that all of the petals have been attached. And on this side right here where you started to tie everything together, you're gonna have like a little tail end, and you can just bend it over and tie it around as much as it can go and press it down for this end. Now, this is another problem that I remember having when I would see people make these designs. I never knew what the back looked like, and I still don't know how they do their backs, but this is how I do mine. So with the same wire that I use to attach the petals to like the frame right here, you see how I have a whole bunch left over? I'm just gonna go, so I'm right here right now. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna just not tie, but bend around the petals just kind of randomly, like this. Go across and just bend it around. And that way it creates kind of like a wall for the back of the stone so that it won't fall out. I hope my explanations make sense. I know that sometimes they probably don't. So it's a good thing that you are also watching what I'm doing. Whoops. There. So now this is what the back looks like. Now when you put your stone in, it's going to be very secure, and there's no way that this is going to be falling out from the back. Okay, so now the next step is you have those little tail ends at the top. What I do with those, you can cut them off, but what I do is I just kind of make little twirlies, like little swirls like this. And this is what I do with all of them, like that. And then same thing with this one. Like this. And like that. And you see they're not even, and sometimes it just be like that. They don't come out even all the time. But I think with a lot of wire wrapping, that's probably what makes it prettier, what makes it better. So it doesn't matter. So there is that. And then you're left with your bail, and you're left with these two extra wires. You're going to bend, you're gonna pretty much create the bail now. Right here, like this. I don't use a tool, I just do it with my hands. Right? You bend that down, make sure you have enough room for a chain or a cord here. Like that. And then what I do is I just kind of cross them like two or three times back here. If you want to do more, you could also do more. I'm going to do more. 4, 5. So these will also serve as like more security for the back, okay? I'm going to bring them in between some petals here. And this one from right here. And this is what you should have. This is the back. Set your stone in. Okay, and from here with these two you can do whatever you want, but for this piece I'm just going to make some little swirls here. I accidentally stopped recording there, but like I was saying, I just did 2 swirlies here. This one is obviously too short. It's not going to be able to go all the way around. So then I made 2 swirls on this side, and I'm going to just tie it around one petal here. And make sure that when you do this, it's super close to the frame so that you can't tell that you've tied it around or wrapped it around. Like that, you see? And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm kind of trying to make it just like this one, where I did 2 swirls here, and then there's 3 here. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Just a couple swirls. There's 2 done. I think yeah, I'm gonna do one more. I went ahead and made that 3rd loop off camera, and then all I did was, here's the 3rd loop. It's a little awkward in there, and then I put it around the petal and I tied it in the back. Another thing that you want to do, and I want to remind you of, is to always make sure that there is no harsh ends in the back or anywhere really, because the person wearing this is gonna have this touching their skin, and you do not want them to get scratched or to get cut or to get hurt at all. So just a reminder to make sure of that. So now you are left with this, okay? With these 2 wires, what I always do is I tie them around the entire bail, and I do a couple wraps. I think I'm gonna do, let's see, I did 2 there, 3, I'm gonna do 1 more, 4. Then with the top wire, you do the same thing. You're just gonna go the opposite way. But for the top one, I do not wrap around as many times. So I just did 2 there. And there's that. And now with these, all I do is I make swirls like this. This is how I always end those 2 wires here. So this one might be a little too long. I always cut off a little bit, maybe like that much, but it really depends on how you want it to look. If you want the swirl to be bigger, you leave a lot. If you want it to be smaller, you don't leave as much. And then I forgot to mention, I have these pliers. I can't remember the name right now, but this is what I'm going to use to make the swirls. You don't have to use this. You can also use this. I've done that before, but I just had these handy here, so I'm going to use these. And you just grab the very end and you start swirling it. Now by the time I get here, I always grab these and I keep it going. Like this. So this one is a pretty big loop, but that's fine. Like that, and do the same thing with the top. The top I always make it shorter. So I'm gonna cut off a lot, this much. And then same thing, but I'm going to wrap the opposite side. So I was wrapping down like this side for this one, and for the top one I'm gonna wrap up. If that makes sense. You just look at what I'm doing. Like this. When I get there, I switch over to the pliers. And there we go. And that is pretty much it. This is the final product. Here's the back. The back is not beautiful. I honestly don't think that the back of any pendants anyone does is all that beautiful. But when you have this on, you don't even notice it. You can't even feel any of this. This is the part that matters. And I think that this looks very nice. And there you guys have it. This is the final product. And now I've just added a copper chain. But I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that you guys were able to learn. If you guys recreate this, I would really love to see it. So I'm gonna link my Instagram so that you guys can message me, you guys can send me pictures, and I'm also gonna add like a screenshot somewhere here in the video of my Instagram profile so you guys can follow me. I also have an Etsy shop linked in my bio. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.